Thank you. Okay. All right, let's get started. Thank you so much. This is so amazing to see all of you here. Thank you for coming. So nice to see this crowd here. I am honored to present and moderate this panel discussion on a very important topic called data products. So I have two rules. One, let's make it interactive. If you have questions, just shout. But feel free. The best panels are where we've got a lot of energy. The second thing is, if you've come to this panel to learn the theory about data mesh and data products, then you can leave now. Because we don't want to talk about, we've done enough of theory for many years. Time is for action right now. And for that, I have an amazing panel because I've got two practitioners, Entity Data and Roche. I've got an implementer and a software vendor. So we've covered all angles. So let's start with some introductions. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi all. I'm Victor Filipescu. I'm heading up the data architecture and innovation team at Entity Data UK. And I have spent my entire 25-year career only working in data. And I have worked for a software vendor, and I work for client organizations, and of course, for system integrator. I was actually here last year and presenting faster time to value in data, so delighted to be here again today.
Yeah, Chris Tapp, I'm a CCO at Leap Data. We're also here last year. We got a panel this evening on high performance data debate as well, and it's great to be here and talk data products.
Especially, you just finished partying from last night.
We did have a low key, which turned a bit high key last night. So we had a little data meetup over in East London. So everyone that turned up, thanks for coming here today as well. And I think Bill will be happy that we didn't get everyone so drunk they didn't arrive today.
Thanks, Chris. I never got invited to your high key event. Paul Rankin, I'm heading up the data mesh platform at Roche. And yeah, Guy.
Hi, Guy Adams, CTO and co-founder at DataOps.live. Unlike, I think, most of the panel, I haven't spent my whole career in data. I spent 20 years in the software development world, building and deploying software products and managing teams that did that. So I've only been in the data world about 5 years, and kind of part of why I'm here and part of why we wrote the Data Products for Dummies book is taking that practical, as you said, real-world experience of actually building software products, and then how do we map that onto the world of data.
Very nice. So the book called Data Product for Dummies came out today. I still haven't seen it, but I believe 200 copies are gone. Guy and I are co-authors, and if you want your own copy signed, then please come to this theater at 6 p.m. And with that, my first question to the panel is, what were the challenges that made you get on this journey to data products, and where are you in your journey to this point? So Victor, let's start with you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. So I think I started my data product journey about 15 years ago, although we didn't know that at the time. The challenge we were given was to design a data solution once, build it once, and deploy it multiple times. And that's been a fantastic success. And then I applied those learnings in my next role, my next experience, in a real-time data marketing platform, which was meant to provide customers with the right offer at the right time. Only that there were no requirements to tell us what the right offer was and what the right time meant. Which is why only by taking a data product approach, having a fully cross-functional team and working iteratively to building iteratively our data platform and ML models, that was the only way to be successful. And the last thing I was going to say is, fast forwarding to today, one of the challenges I'm helping clients solve today is around, they're both into data products, but they don't know how to get there. So I'm working with the organizations, helping them evolve and mature existing teams and capabilities from where they are today into a data product factory. So So these are some of the challenges I've been solving with data products, and yes, hope that makes sense.
So let's go around.
Yeah. So I think the journey of creating data products has always been trying to reduce friction in delivering end results to clients. And the ways of doing that is using a product mentality. And we can discuss whether a product has a SKU or a product is a solution you're providing to a client. It's the way of thinking, the way of delivering. And we talked earlier, technology is the easy part of it. It's the people, processes, and, well, maybe emotional attachment, how they worked before. So educating people in the art of the possible, I think, is what we're trying to do. And talking about data in a product way is helping achieve that.
So Chris, my perspective is technology is easy, processes are hard, people are impossible. So, all right. Paul?
Yeah, I second that. People are impossible. Yeah, the question, where did you start your journey? Everybody, that's working in an organization has monolithic either warehouses, lakes, lake houses, whatever, yeah? My old boss, Omar Kavaja, who you may know, he always said, yeah, okay, even if we do move our monolith to the cloud, by doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, a great quote from Albert Einstein, it's pure madness. And that's exactly what a lot of people are doing. They're just moving their monoliths to the cloud and expecting all these, fantastic results. Yes, they might spend a bit more money on consumption. They might get some faster query processing, some unlimited storage, but you're still going to have all the same problems. And that's why we really thought about doing something completely different. And Roche, we were already a very decentralized organization when it came to analytics. And in the past, we tried to centralize analytics, and for a decentralized culture, which, just doesn't make sense at all. So you want to free up that decentralized culture. You want to, enable and empower those shadow IT organizations, and this is really what we did. This is exactly the reason why.
That's great.
I think the thing that really set me on the journey here was all about the business requirements. I came from the software world where I had stakeholders. They'd ask for something on Monday and they'd be disappointed if they had to wait till Wednesday. And then I came to the data world and they'd ask for something on Monday and they'd be delighted when I told them they can have it in 6 months. And there's just something wrong with this process. And those business users have wised up and they're not prepared to accept 6 months or 3 months or 3 weeks. In some cases, not prepared to accept 3 days. The expectations from the business, driven by the software side of the world, are if I ask for it today, I should be able to get it maybe today, certainly tomorrow. And there's no way, as Paul was saying, there's no way of doing that with the old ways of working with the old technologies. You have to turn it on its head, and data products is a massive part of that. I mean, when I started working with Paul, about 3 years ago, Roche were doing 1 release a quarter, 4 a year. You've got a feature, you've got 4 chances in the year to get it out. They're now doing over 1,000 releases a quarter, many, many releases a day. So when you get your feature, it's in, gets developed, and it gets released as soon as it's ready. So it's that business side of things and getting features in the hands of the business user, which is the only time you deliver value. Your value in development is worthless. Value in QA is worthless. Value sitting in your production repository that hasn't been deployed is worthless. The value only counts for anything when it's in the hands of the business users. And so that's really what started us on this journey. And I think we're now seeing, with Roche, with a number of other customers, that's actually now, now impressive. I think you see 500 data products in production?
Yeah, a little bit more now, but...
incredible numbers. We were presenting with OneWeb this morning, 150 data products in production with a team of 10 people. These are not theoretical, hey, we think we could. These are actual real world on the ground today examples.
So this is amazing, 150 data products, and you've heard about the challenges, you've heard about the benefits. I have a question for the audience. How many of you know what a data product is? Show of hands? All right. I would say maybe there are 300-400 people, maybe 20 hands went up. How many of you don't know what a data product is exactly? All right, so I see more hands where people are confused. So let's separate hype from reality. What exactly is a data product has been a bit of a confusion. So Paul, I'm going to start with you. What is a data product? Please educate us.
Okay, well, I'm certainly not the authority on what a data product is, but I can tell you what we consider a data product in Roche and so in the journey we've gone through. So I think for the past year, or maybe even 2 years, we've struggled to really nail down what a data product is. And we've always talked about the conceptual level of, what is a data product? Yes, you must have product mindset behind it. Yeah, you must have certain characteristics met that you've read in the book. It has to be fair, but it also has to be a little bit more than that. Yeah, it has to have a contract behind it. You have to have a data product owner, etc., etc. This is all still very conceptual. Yeah, really, and a lot of people cannot get past that because they don't know how to get past that. For us in Roche, in the last 6 months, we've really taken that conceptual view of a data product more to the physical layer. And we've spent the last 6 months really mapping out a physical model of what a data product is. And this is everything from your codes, your schema definitions, your SLOs and SLIs that are maybe defined in another tool like observability tool such as Monte Carlo or Calibra, your container in Calibra where it ends up, where your actual data product is published and the metadata is published. Everything that from the team and everything they're doing from the code repository, from the definitions, from the change management control, from the versioning that you all do through your DataOps pipeline, everything to your publishing is really defined in a logical model. And now that, for us, is a data product. So it went through from this conceptual, yes, it must meet the characteristics. That's a data product. Then it went through to actually, it's a schema in Snowflake because that's where the data is. Obviously, that's part of it, but not all of it. Then we moved, and about 6 months ago, it's a tag. We tagged everything. All the code was tagged, all the artifacts in Snowflake was tagged. I mean, it still is tagged, but we've evolved from a tag as a data product to now really this physical model. Every relationship and every component in the journey, end to end, is considered in your data product boundaries. So for us, that is what a data product is.
Yeah, so I like to identify different categories. And ultimately, what you're trying to do with a data product is add value. Business value, monetize, it has a goal.
Do you always have to monetize or no?
So ideally, you'd like to monetize. I think there's probably some exceptions out there if you're trying to perform something that is to do with your business strategy, maybe being zero carbon neutral or something. That's not monetizing it as such, but it's following your business strategy or the vision that your company. But if with those exceptions, I think there's three core things that you're trying to do with a data product to monetize it in some way. And monetize, I think, comes in three categories. So you've got wrap, sell, improve. And this is an MIT term, not mine. I'm not clever enough to come up with these things. But yeah, sell's very easy to understand. You've packaged up the data. You've provided that to someone to consume. Easy, and maybe that would have a skew when we're talking about as a product. And the other one is improve, business process optimization. So your areas that you can optimize your onboarding process. Could be optimize your supply chain management. And we're working for a supermarket one time, and it was looking at what's the best way of getting the stock from the warehouse to the shop floor in the most efficient way. How they did that was an algorithm to work out that was a product, So, and I think the third one, which is probably wrap. So, wrapping is a symbiotic sort of capability that sits around maybe a core feature you have in your organization where it adds more value. It may not be there to monetize as such. It might be there to make the product sticky, so you stay with it. Not holding to ransom and staying with it, but sticky because they want to stay there. And yeah, that could be another feature to the product, and you may charge extra money for that, or it may help your retention to make people not leave to go and use alternative products. So if you think of those three sort of categories in your organization, any one of those you can create a product to solve that. And so I think how you've done it at Roche is you've probably got those 500 or whatever probably fit into those different categories. Yeah, so our ultimate game is to make our lives better with data, and we're doing it in a productized way. Choose one of those categories. I think it helps articulate what you're actually doing. Because someone said data product, what you're actually achieving. And if you start to boil it down to those 3 types of categories, it becomes a lot easier for people to understand and buy into it as well. We talked about the people being the hardest possible, I think you said, the hardest part of delivery. Having common terminology, common understanding is going to help reduce that friction from a people process perspective. The technology, you've already nailed it with DataOps Live, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I think it's all about education.
That is great. See, it's so amazing to get different perspectives about what is a data product. So you come from the software engineering angle. What's your perspective?
Well, so I think which is one interesting point about monetization. I talk to an awful lot of people, and the first thing is, yes, we fully understand monetization data, but no, not our data. Our data is not interesting or not valuable to anybody. I would challenge everybody to challenge that assumption. We've got a customer here today, decent-sized engineering team, a lot of data. They decided to just put it out there, try and monetize data. The data business is now a profit center. They are selling their data out to the world for all sorts of use cases never thought about. The data business is a profit center. They return a profit to the business. So there's a challenge to really think about whether monetization could be relevant to you. But for me, I mean, as a technologist, I guess I'm oddly taking the business perspective of it. To me, a data product can be a lot of different things, but it's about looking at it from the business side. If I've built something that is discoverable, is trustworthy, is composable, is interoperable, is backwards compatible, is tested, is exclusive, is built and released in an agile, fast way, and has a product and a product management methodology behind it, that's a data product. Now, it might be for some people, it might be a set of tables and schemas and Snowflake with text. For some people, it might be something completely different, but if you can check all of those boxes, or even these days the majority of those boxes, I would say what you're building is a data product. It might be that that's consumed as a BI report. It might be that's consumed as a data share. It might be that's consumed as an ML model. It might be that actually the only consumer of that is a software application. We're talking to a lot of people today about saying, yeah, I'm building a data product, and actually the only consumer of it is a software product or an application. And that's great, and that's fine, because you've still got those sets of characteristics and principles that you're ticking off. So to me, that's what makes a data product the most fundamental, is not anything at the technological level. It's if you can check all those boxes about what it achieves, both for the engineering team but also for the business, that makes a data product.
So what you're saying is it is less about what the artifact is, it's more about how it's built.
Exactly.
And one of the chapters that you are very passionate about and you wrote is about microservices. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's just it's my background, and I know it's not a perfect analogy, but I would say 90% of the challenges I've had to solve since I've been in the data world, I've solved by saying, this is a new challenge to the data world. Let me write out the problem statement with data product everywhere. Let me search and replace the word data for microservice, and let me see if that really is true. Okay, now what was the answer in the software world? And I'd say 90% of our problems and challenges in the data world, if not exactly, certainly can be very strongly inspired by our solution. That's been my philosophy since I came to the data world, is, and DataOps itself is not about inventing something new, it's about saying, if we're smart, 80% of our problems can be solved by taking solutions from the software and the cloud infrastructure world and adapting them. Yes, we have some unique challenges, like we've got petabytes of state, which those worlds don't deal with. So yeah, we've got some unique challenges, but let's spend all of our cycles on solving the things that are unique to us. Like, there are still people out there running around saying, hey, you know what, let's invent a new version management system. We don't think this Git thing's going to catch on. There are people in the data world that say stuff like that, and it's nonsensical to me. Let's take what's worked really well, learn from people that have been doing it for 20 years and battle-hardened it, and then let's solve the problems that are unique to us.
Very nice. Victor, what's a data product for you?
Wonderful question. To me, it's all about the benefit it brings to the business, and obviously that benefit has to be continuous, built iteratively. One example that comes to mind, I'll refer back to my example in retail. Before taking a data product approach, we were building point bespoke data solutions for our customers, and that was taking significant amount of time and effort measured in years for very large teams. After building a data solution as a data product, the rollout time reduced to about 3 months for a very lean team. So definitely realizing that benefit in terms of reduced cost to deliver and an accelerated time to to market, accelerate time to value. And probably a slightly different example, again, talking about people and process, one recent experience with a customer was helping them design, build, and launch a data product factory. So using an existing team, BI team, and capabilities, BI capabilities, as the foundation for a data product factory. Once they started looking at the BI estate from the data product lens, they realized that loads of reports can be actually retired because every product has a shelf life. And those operational costs basically help drive additional revenue, which was invested in building new data products, all, of course, aligned to the business value and aligned to the business priorities. So these are my three examples.
That is such an important point, what you said. The data products have a whole life cycle, and that includes from design, begin to retire. Because how many times we've moved from on-prem to the cloud, and we've taken all this temporary tables and all, because a project, no one knew what to do with that stuff. The team rolled off, and we never treated it as a product, so that sense of ownership.
Absolutely. About 80% of reports will realize that they're not bringing any value to the business, and they are just incurring significant operational costs for the organization.
I think it's just a really important point there. One of those characteristics of data product has to be that you can measure the ROI. It's a self-contained thing, you measure the ROI. And once you think about a product lifecycle, it's not you calculate your ROI to justify building it, but as a product manager, you should be constantly evaluating that ROI. And you know what? If that ROI drops below a certain level, you kill it. You shouldn't be putting time and effort into maintaining it. And how many people are measuring all of their data artifacts or data assets and saying, you know what, today this has ceased to deliver enough value to be worth maintaining. And when people don't think that way today, mostly, well, partly because they don't have the metrics and they don't have this thing that they can measure ROI, but partly because people just aren't thinking, look, these are a set of things that have a life, and at some point that life should come to an end. And my job as a product owner, as a product manager, is to decide when that is.
Yeah, I think Roche does that, right? How many data products have you launched? What is the frequency of releases? So that whole productivity angle.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that whole lean value tree exercise before you even start building a data product, has to take place. I mean, there's no getting away from that. You have to understand what you're creating. Is there value for the business? Especially in Roche, there's a lot of people building things that really have no value. And then this is where we need to get to. So yeah, we have implemented that. The cost of a data product, so how much is costing to maintain and keep live? That's fairly, I would say, easy. In terms of the consumption, in terms of the license costs, in terms of the FTE count. But actually the hardest bit, you're right, is having that rate of return, that business value. And we've worked really hard with the business teams, with the data product teams to really establish this and find metrics, whether it's process, savings on processes or quicker processes, or really monetary things such as stock, for example. So we've worked really hard on that. It's still a long way to go. I think we're not quite there yet, but 100%. This is the only way you will be able to decide if your data product is worth keeping, or needs to be decommissioned.
Exactly. I think the two things that come up here are ROI and business value. And I've been doing a lot of thinking and working with Matt Housley on defining what business value is, and we've had a few iterations of that. I think the latest iteration is business value is an evidenceable positive impact on your company's performance, your business performance. And I think the other one is, I think as part of that data product mentality, I love the retiring thing of when end of lifing a product, and being able to track, call it the value of it, call it the ROI. Call it how affects it in business performance. If you're able to collect the metrics that allows you to evidence it, have that evidenceable, you can achieve that retirement factor, because it's no point, the cost of maintaining this is not worth the value it's providing anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's a natural maybe move to go, let's go, there's another alternative that's better. And sunsetting, means that less to migrate later, less to maintain, less to audit, less to secure. Yeah, it's going to make your life easier. So I think having a house check, or like a looking to see what you've got there, and so is it still adding the value, and making sure you define what that is. If not, have no emotional attachment anymore. Get rid of it, and
get rid of it.
Tell the clients it's no longer. Oh, you're cut. You're the business.
So I can see that there's so much you want to share, and we're just warming up for a 4-hour conversation, and we have 5 minutes left. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I want to go back to the panel. So Victor said that he's been doing data products for 15 years. But data products only now are becoming so important. In fact, the credit goes to Zhamak Dehghani because she published her book called Data Mesh, and so she made this concept well known. But she had very strict purist definition that it's only analytics, it's batch, it's immutable. So I want to ask the panel, what's new? Like, where are you taking the concept of?
Yes. Well, I think I'll have to respectfully disagree. Some of the most exciting data products I worked on were actually real-time. For example, combining customer historical data with real-time contextual information to maximize the benefit and the accuracy. So that's been my experience, really. So yes, that's the...
So you can have a data product on operational data as it comes in?
Absolutely, yes. An operational data product which is powered by historical data, insights built over time.
Combine it with historical data, and so you get both operational and analytical, the HTAP.
Absolutely, and then feeding it real-time contextual information, because the right offer for yourself, it really depends on the time and context.
Okay, awesome.
Is not always the same throughout 24 hours or throughout the week.
So Chris, you've built some pretty innovative data products. Can you tell us about specific example?
So give some flavors of them. So going back to those categories I defined earlier. So the improved one, I think I mentioned it, it was a supermarket looking to optimize the amount of time that people were walking on the floor, which is the most expensive part of the whole supply chain. Knowing where to put the pallet inside a store, knowing how long it's going to take them to unload that pallet being stacked in an order that matched the distance they were walking, and that was saving in excess of 500 hours a week of time across.
It's saved.
So, and then I think the very simple one is the cell style. So it's just creating fraud data that can be used to train, look for credit card fraud for a large payment company as well. So, there's.
So these data products for credit card fraud, for shelving, the products are already in production.
Yes, many years. So the supermarket was about 4 years ago. The payment company was a couple of years ago as well.
What about at Roche? What are some examples of data products?
Oh, well, we've only got 2 minutes, so I'll give you a quick...
only 150.
A quick one. We obviously deal with a lot of hospitals, a lot of healthcare providers, a lot of doctor surgeries, and, our machinery sends back data, our equipment, our instruments send back data. So one example is what we call price per test. So if a successful blood test comes back, the data can decide if it's successful or not, and then they send them an invoice on the amount of successful blood tests. So we did that for diagnostics for one particular healthcare provider, and now that standard of data product has been developed for the global. So anybody and any healthcare professional that is buying a Roche machine essentially can use this data and data product to invoice the healthcare provider back on what we call price per test. So, that's something that would have been done in the past by every affiliate in every country, a different way. And now that, so now a centralized data product, that people can plug into as an API, as an output port for consumption has really accelerated that journey immensely.
You have the last word.
Thank you. So, I mean, we work with a lot of organizations and a lot of verticals, so we see many, many examples, but we are in dog food. We produce data products ourselves. We have a ton of data on our own platform, and one that we built was we wanted to see, hey, when we release new features and new versions of features, which customers are using them, which particular industries are they being most popular in, so we built a data product for that. We had a specification, we worked out what value it would bring us, and we built that, and we had some typical analytical use cases. Then what we realized, and I'm seeing this as quite a big trend, is these data products, which historically would have had very analytical use cases, are starting to feed back into the operational loop. So all of a sudden we realize now we've got this data product, and we're refreshing it every half an hour or so, we could actually use that to generate emails to customers saying, hey, by the way, did you know that you're using an unsupported version? Or did you know that there's a version you're using sort of a particular bug in, and it's fixed in this version, and so on. So we're seeing a big trend for data products now being used not just for the traditional analytical use cases, but actually now feeding back more into the operational side of the business.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this. If you have questions, you can come back here at 6 p.m. And most of us will be here. But thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.